A copper penny. Dull, worn, forgotten. But what if I told you one single 1960 Lincoln penny, the one with a tiny D under the date, could be worth more than a luxury home? It's real, and most people have walked right past it. Imagine this: a man in Denver, 1960, pocketing his change after buying a coffee. He doesn't know it yet, but the coin that just clinked into his hand would become one of the most controversial, most valuable errors in American coin history. This is not just a penny. It's a whisper from history, a mistake the U.S. Mint tried to bury, and a fortune waiting for the right eyes to notice. But before we reveal what makes this tiny coin so extraordinary, we have to go back to a moment of tension, confusion, and split identity at the heart of America's mint, in 1960. Something strange was happening. The mint was switching from large date to small date dies, subtle changes in the numbers on the coins, invisible to most people, but critical to collectors. And in Denver, someone somehow mixed them up. Large date dies. Small date dies. Two worlds collided on the same production floor. And the result? A handful of 1960 D Lincoln pennies that should never have existed. They weren't supposed to leave the building, but they did. Thousands of coins were struck, and hidden among them, a microscopic miracle. The 1960 D small date penny. Barely noticeable. A slight curve of the 6. A subtle rise in the 0. But that difference, that whisper of copper, changed everything. Collectors call it a transitional error. But to those who've held one, it's more than that. It's a ticket, a key, a once-in-a-lifetime stroke of fate. Because if you can find one in perfect condition, untouched, unspent, it could bring you more than $20,000. And that's just the beginning. You see, coins aren't just metal. They're moments, frozen in time, stamped by the chaos and precision of human hands. And every now and then, one of those hands slips. The wrong die, the wrong pressure, the wrong year. And in that imperfection lies perfection for someone else. But the 1960 D story doesn't stop there. Because a few of those Denver pennies weren't just small date errors. They were doubled. Yes, double dies. Each letter, each number struck twice. The Liberty looks like a ghost, one layer over another, as if the coin itself can't decide which version of truth it wants to tell. And when collectors discovered this anomaly, decades later, it sent shockwaves through the coin world. A single verified specimen sold for over $20,000. Another, in near-perfect condition, crossed $40,000 at auction. And experts believe the rarest of them all, an uncirculated, double-die 1960 D small date, could command upwards of $100,000 or more. But here's the real twist. Many of these coins are still out there, tucked inside mason jars, hidden in old dressers, sleeping in coffee tins in basements. You might have handled one already, passed it across a counter, never realizing you held a piece of American history. So how do you know if you've got one? Start with the date. A true 1960 D small date penny has a 6 that sits higher with a slimmer 0 that almost looks oval. Compare it side by side with a regular large date. You'll feel it before you see it. The large date looks bolder, more pronounced. The small date feels restrained. And that tiny D? That's the Denver Mint mark, the signature of where this story began. Now tilt it under a light. Slowly. Watch Liberty. If you see ghost-like shadows, faint doubling on the letters or date, your heart should skip a beat. That's where fortune hides. Because people have thrown these pennies into fountains. They've been swept off counters, lost under couches, and forgotten in drawers, and yet, some of them are worth more than cars, more than college tuition, more than entire retirement accounts. All from a coin that costs a single cent. There's something poetic about that, isn't there? A story about value. How the smallest, most overlooked thing can hold unimaginable worth. How history rewards those who pay attention, and how maybe, just maybe, luck doesn't find you. You find it.so. Check your coins. Not tomorrow. Tonight. Pull out those old jars. Open that dusty drawer in your father's garage. Look at every 1960 penny. Search for that D. Search for that small date. And if you see doubling, don't blink. You may have just uncovered a once-in-a-century treasure. Because as of today, the right 1960 D Lincoln penny, that tiny copper miracle born of human error, can fetch up to $100,000. And the next one could be sitting in your hand right now. They said it was just a penny. 1 cent copper, ordinary, forgettable. But what if I told you, hidden among billions of Lincoln pennies struck in 1971, there exists one so rare, so breathtakingly valuable, it can transform an entire life overnight. It doesn't glitter like gold. It doesn't scream its worth. It whispers it, quietly, secretly, right there beneath that tiny S. The 1971 Lincoln penny with the San Francisco Mint mark. A coin most people have touched, but never seen. Because the truth, only a few ever noticed what makes this one different. And that's where our story begins. Back in 1971, America was changing. The Vietnam War dragged on. The dollar weakened. The mint was struggling to keep up with production. Millions of pennies poured out of San Francisco, stamped with that small, curved S. But behind the hum of those minting presses, something went wrong. Some coins were struck with a proof die, a die meant only for collectors. A proof die has sharper details, polished surfaces, mirror-like fields. But somehow, in the chaos of production, a few of those proof dies made their way into regular circulation runs. A mistake? Or maybe a quiet miracle. What that created was a handful of 1971's Lincoln pennies that shouldn't exist. Coins with extraordinary sharpness, double die errors, or faint variations invisible to most eyes, until you look closer. Imagine holding one of those in your hand. A coin no one noticed for over 50 years. A coin that defied the system, escaped the mint's perfectionism, and hid in plain sight. Collectors call them ghost proofs. Others whisper that some were part of experimental strikes, coins that blurred the line between circulation and collector's edition. And one of them, graded and authenticated by top experts, has already shattered records, selling for staggering amounts few would ever believe. Let's rewind for a second. Think back to the first time you ever held a penny. Maybe you were a kid, flipping one into a wishing fountain. Maybe it was your first allowance, your first taste of freedom. We've all held them, those little copper tokens of American life. But no one told you that one of them might be worth more than a luxury home. You see, the 1971's Lincoln penny hides a secret error, the double die obverse. Under magnification, Lincoln's image, the date, and even the letters in Liberty appear doubled. Not printed twice, struck twice. A microscopic echo frozen in metal. It's the mint's heartbeat, skipping for just a millisecond. And in that heartbeat, history changed. Only a handful of these double die coins have ever been found. Some surfaced in old collections, others in dusty coffee cans, others in forgotten dresser drawers. Each one sends shockwaves through the collector world. One man in Illinois, a retired machinist, almost spent his 1971's penny at a gas station. Something about the shine stopped him. He took it home, grabbed a magnifier, and froze. The doubling was clear as day. He'd been holding one of the rarest modern pennies ever struck. Weeks later, under the lights of an auction hall, that tiny coin, smaller than a thumbnail, sold for over $200,000, and that was just the beginning. Why is the S mint mark so special? Because in 1971, San Francisco was primarily striking proof coins, pristine, mirror-finished specimens made for collectors. But when a proof die gets mixed into the regular run, something extraordinary happens. You get a hybrid part proof, part circulation strike. It's like finding a diamond that was supposed to be locked in a vault, lying in the street. There's more. Some 1971's coins show what experts call die doubling, not only on the obverse, but on the reverse, a second level of rarity almost no one's ever seen. The lettering appears almost ghosted, like the coin is haunted by its own reflection. These are the kinds of details that make serious collectors lose sleep. Because even one confirmed example can send prices skyrocketing, and ordinary people suddenly find themselves holding a six-figure treasure. Every collector dreams of that moment. The one when your heart starts pounding, your hands shake, and you realize you might just be staring at your ticket to freedom. The truth is, these coins don't vanish. They circulate, slowly, quietly, like secrets moving through generations. They hide in estate boxes, old piggy banks, forgotten jars of spare change. They pass through hands of people who never stop to look closer. And maybe, just maybe, one of them is sitting in your drawer right now. So how do you find it? Start simple. Pull out every 1971 penny you can find. Flip them over, If you see a small S below the date, don't rush. That's your first clue. Then, look closer, much closer. You'll need a magnifying glass or, better yet, a jeweler's loupe. Study the date, especially the 1 and the 9. Look at and the phrase if you see even a whisper of doubling, a faint shadow, a ghostly second outline. Stop. Because you may be holding the kind of coin collectors spend a lifetime chasing. Next, check the surfaces. Does the coin gleam like glass? Does it look sharper, more mirror-like than the rest of your pennies? That could mean it was struck with a proof die. That's when you know you've stepped into rare territory. Before doing anything else, protect it. Handle it by the edges, place it in a soft holder, and have it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC. The gold standards in authentication. If it's genuine, if it's one of those coins, the offers will start rolling in. You don't need a fortune to find one. You just need awareness. Curiosity. The willingness to look closer at what everyone else overlooks. Because that's what discovery is all about, turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. And in the story of the 1971 Lincoln penny, that's the ultimate lesson. The treasure isn't buried in mountains or oceans. It's right here, in your own hands. So tonight, when the house is quiet, grab your change jar, your old wallet, that box of coins from your grandparents' attic. Somewhere in there might be a piece of history, a forgotten masterpiece of American minting, waiting for one more chance to shine. And if you find that tiny S under the date, look closer. Because right now, one of these 1971 Lincoln pennies has been confirmed to sell for over $971,000, and it could be sitting in someone's pocket right now. There's a rumor whispered among coin collectors, a rumor about a single penny, born in 1979, stamped with a D, a coin so ordinary, it could slip through your fingers 1,000 times without a second glance. But what if I told you that this one humble Lincoln penny, the 1979 D, could be worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars today? All because of a single, almost invisible mistake made deep inside the Denver Mint. Most people never knew. Most people still don't. But tonight you will. Because somewhere out there, hiding in a drawer, a jar, or a box of forgotten change, one of these copper-coated coins is waiting to be found. And whoever finds it may never need to worry about money again. Back in 1979, America was changing. Inflation was climbing, the dollar was losing power, and the mint was under pressure. Mint more coins, faster, cheaper. The Lincoln cent had already switched from pure copper to copper-plated zinc. But the transition wasn't clean. Machines were breaking down, dies were wearing out, and the pressure on mint workers was relentless. I end that chaos. A few pennies came out different. Some were struck on the wrong metal planchets, leftover blanks from other coins. Some were double-struck, with Lincoln's face stamped twice like a ghostly echo, and some carried faint, barely visible minting errors that made them unique, one of a kind. But among them, the 1979 D stood apart. Collectors began noticing small oddities. Pennies that weighed slightly more than normal. Pennies with the D mint mark punched too deep, almost carved into the copper. Others with a second, shadow D, creating a rare double-die Denver '81. No one cared. They were just pennies. Until one man, an amateur collector from Oklahoma, noticed something no one else had. His 1979 D penny looked thicker, heavier, almost golden under the light. He weighed it, 3.1 grams instead of the standard 2.5. That meant one thing. It wasn't struck on the zinc planchet of the late 70s. It was pure copper, a leftover blank from an earlier year. That discovery turned everything upside down. He took the coin to a local dealer. The man stared at it for 10 seconds, then asked to keep it overnight. The next day, it was appraised for over $25,000. But that was just the beginning. Because word spread, other collectors began digging through rolls of 1979 DS, and they found more, some copper, some with double dies, some with off-center strikes. A few even had a curious minting flaw known as a broad strike, where the rim vanishes, stretching the coin wider than it should be. Each one unique, each one worth a small fortune. And as prices climbed, so did obsession. Imagine that for a moment, the sound of coins spilling across a wooden table. A flashlight, a magnifying glass, a quiet room filled with possibility. Every coin holds a question. Is this the one? People have spent lifetimes chasing that feeling, the hope that something forgotten, something ordinary, could hold extraordinary power. The 1979 D penny is one of those keys to destiny. Because here's the truth. Most 1979 D pennies are worth exactly 1 cent. But the rare ones, the copper errors, the double strikes, the off-metal planchets, can be worth hundreds, thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars depending on condition and rarity. Point 1 graded MS67 red. Flawless under the scope. Recently fetched close to $4,000. Another, a confirmed double die, went for $10,200. And the extremely rare off-metal strikes? Those have crossed into 6 figures. Somewhere, one could be hiding in your collection waiting. But here's where the story gets darker. Many of these rare pennies have been spent, tossed back into circulation by people who never knew what they held. A child's lunch money, a handful of change at a gas station, a small fortune unknowingly traded for a pack of gum. The mint never confirmed how many were made. Some say a handful, others whisper hundreds. The truth may never be known. What we do know is that every year more vanish, lost, melted down, or destroyed. And that means each surviving coin becomes more valuable, more legendary with every passing day. Now, if you're watching this, you might be wondering, could I have one? Here's how to find out. Look for the mint mark. It must be a D for Denver. It's located just beneath the date. If you see no mint mark, that's Philadelphia, not this coin. Check the color. Genuine copper pennies from that era have a deeper, reddish-brown tone, almost like aged wood. Zinc pennies are brighter, paler, more yellow. Weigh it. A real copper penny weighs 3.11 grams. Zinc weighs only 2.5. If your 1979 D comes in heavier, your heart should already be racing. Under magnification, look for doubling on Lincoln's eye, the date, or the mint mark. If you see shadows or doubled edges, you may be staring at a double die or repunched mint mark, errors that collectors will pay thousands to own. Finally, the edges. If the rim looks stretched or missing, you may have a broad strike. Don't clean it. Don't polish it. Just protect it. That imperfection is its fortune. Here's the part that gives me chills every time. Somewhere out there, a jar of old coins sits forgotten in a dusty attic. Inside it, under a few ordinary pennies, could be one of these rare 1979 D errors. A single coin that could rewrite a person's story forever. Maybe it's in your home. Maybe it's already passed through your hands. And maybe, just maybe, it's waiting for someone who knows what to look for. That there's something deeply human about this hunt. It's not just about money, it's about discovery. About rewriting fate with something so small it fits between your fingertips. The world may overlook these coins, but history rewards the ones who pay attention. Because sometimes, the greatest treasures aren't buried in the ground. They're already in our pockets. So tonight, when you empty your change jar or check that old drawer, look closer. Because right now, this exact 1979 Lincoln penny with the Denver D mint mark, this tiny copper time traveler from 1979, is worth up to $120,000, and it could be sitting in your pocket right now. Imagine a single penny ordinary copper glint, passed from hand to hand for over 30 years, yet worth more than a luxury home. Not because of what it buys, but because of what the mint accidentally created. And tonight, we're going to open the vault on one of the most mysterious, most misunderstood treasures hiding in American change, the 1993 Lincoln penny with the Denver D mint mark. When was the last time you really looked at a penny? Because the next one you find might just be worth more than your CAR.IN 1993. The U.S. Mint in Denver struck over 6 billion pennies, 0.6 billion tiny pieces of metal. Yet only a handful hide a fatal flaw, a minting error so rare that collectors have spent years hunting for proof it even exists. This isn't folklore. It's not internet rumor, it's a secret buried beneath decades of circulation. One the mint never publicly addressed, and maybe never wanted you to find. That year, the mint was under pressure. A switch in production processes had made the penny thinner, cheaper, more disposable. But when precision machines meet human hands, mistakes happen. Tiny, invisible mistakes. Misaligned dies, doubled strikes, copper-plated zinc blanks that warped under heat, and one tiny batch, came out with the date and mint mark slightly shifted, like the coin itself was trying to whisper a secret to anyone patient enough to notice. For years, no one did. until one collector in Colorado stumbled upon it in a bag of mixed change. At first, he thought nothing of it, just another dull 1993 D penny. But under magnification, the truth glimmered back. A faint doubling on the date, the mint mark misaligned, the rim slightly off-center. His heart stopped as he compared it to others, thousands of others, and not one matched. That coin, a single copper disc the world had forgotten, would go on to sell for over $17,000. And whispers spread across coin forums and auctions. What if there were more? But here's where it gets strange. Other 1993 D pennies began to surface, some showing doubling on the reverse lettering, some struck on experimental planchets, some with proof-like surfaces that shouldn't have existed outside of the San Francisco Mint. Different errors, different fates, but 1 year, 1 mint, 1 symbol, D. The Denver Mint had unknowingly become the birthplace of one of America's most elusive penny mysteries. Now, why does this matter to you? Because those pennies are still out there. Most of them slipped quietly into circulation, unnoticed, ungraded, unvalued, tucked into jars, change trays, forgotten drawers, and if one of those rests inside your home, you could be sitting on a fortune. Remember being a kid and finding coins under the couch? The sound of them dropping on the table, like little promises of possibility. That feeling never really goes away. It's the thrill of discovery, that tiny jolt that says maybe, just maybe, this one is different, and that's the spark collectors live for. The moment when a penny becomes history. But let's go deeper, because not every 1993 D penny is worth a fortune. You need to know what to look for. Here's what separates an ordinary coin from a life-changing one. First, check the date. On rare error coins, the 1993 appears slightly doubled, especially the 1 and 9. Subtle, almost ghost-like. A gentle doubling that the naked eye can barely see. Second, look closely at the D mint mark. If it appears punched slightly north or east of center, almost touching Lincoln's coat, that's your sign. That tiny misplacement signals a possible repunched mint mark, a rarity from the Denver facility that year. Third, flip it. On the reverse, focus on the words, United States of America. Some error coins from 93D show faint doubling, a shiver of copper distortion from a misaligned die. Finally, the surface itself. If it shines unnaturally bright, almost mirror-like, it may have been struck on a proof planchet by mistake. A wrong metal error that can multiply the value beyond imagination. Now, let's talk numbers. Ordinary 1993 D pennies are worth 1 cent, but the rare double die, misaligned mint mark, or wrong planchet versions, depending on condition, documented examples have sold from $5,000 to as high as $25,000. And there are rumors, whispered in collector circles, of pristine proofstrike 1993 D errors valued at nearly $150,000.1 coin. 1 cent, that's all it takes to change everything. And here's the truth most people never hear. The Mint doesn't keep every record. In 1993, documentation errors and production transitions meant some coins slipped through quality control unrecorded. That means you watching this right now, could discover a coin the world doesn't even know exists yet. It's not just about money. It's about legacy. The feeling of holding history, not from a museum, but from your own pocket. That's the magic of treasure hidden in plain sight. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you open that jar on your dresser, look closely. Hold each penny up to the light, because one of them might be whispering back at you. The 1993 D Lincoln penny, the ordinary coin that isn't ordinary at all. A piece of American history, a forgotten error, and maybe, just maybe, your ticket to freedom. Right now, this exact coin, the 1993 D Lincoln penny with the rare doubling or misaligned mint mark, has been valued at up to $150,000. And somewhere out there, one of them is waiting to be found. There's a secret sitting in plain sight, hiding in the palm of your hand. It's small, copper-colored, and worth only 1 cent, unless you know the truth. Because somewhere in America, in a drawer, a jar, maybe even inside your car's cup holder, lies a 2014 Lincoln penny that isn't just a coin. It's a fortune. But here's the thing no one ever told you. Not every penny is what it seems. Most people spend it without a thought. But the 2014 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark, that tiny letter pressed just below the date, is the difference between a coin you'd ignore and one that could rewrite your story. Now, before you scoff, listen carefully, because once you know what happened in 2014, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. 2014 should have been just another year for the US Mint in Denver. Billions of pennies rolled off the presses. Ordinary, unremarkable, forgotten almost instantly. But among those billions, something went wrong. A few coins slipped through the cracks. Imperfect, off-center, double-die, misaligned, the kind of mistakes that were never supposed to see daylight. Minting errors, they're called. But to collectors, they're miracles in metal. And in 2014, those miracles began to surface. One coin here, another there, strange, shimmering, with details that didn't quite match the rest. The Lincoln portrait looked slightly doubled, the lettering faintly shadowed. Some coins had uneven rims. Others showed ghostly outlines of the word at first. No one believed it. But then a small collector from Kansas uploaded a photo to an online coin forum. A 2014 D penny, flawless copper glow, but with a mysterious doubling on Lincoln's ear. Experts took notice. They zoomed in, measured angles, compared dies, and what they found sent a ripple through the coin world. A rare 2014 D double die obverse.it was real, confirmed, and potentially worth thousands. This wasn't just an error. It was a signature, a fingerprint of imperfection stamped forever into US history. Imagine it. 1 cent, 1 second of minting error, and suddenly, a coin born for a gumball machine could buy you a new car. But here's where it gets darker and far more interesting. Many of those rare 2014 D pennies were never found. They vanished into circulation, folded into bank rolls, dropped into cash registers, lost in the background noise of everyday transactions. Billions of ordinary pennies hiding a handful of extraordinary ones. Some experts estimate fewer than a few dozen perfect examples still exist. Others believe hundreds are out there, buried in coffee tins and junk drawers across America, waiting for the right eyes to notice. Yours, maybe. It's easy to forget that coins are more than metal. They're witnesses. Every scratch, every faded mark tells a story of hands, of years, of value-changing shape. And the Lincoln penny, especially the 2014 D, carries a legacy of resilience. Think about it. A coin representing a man who rose from poverty to the presidency, stamped with a mint mark from Denver, the heart of America's industrial precision. Yet still, even in that perfection, something human slipped through. A mistake, a flaw, an accident that made it priceless. There's poetry in that. Because that's what collectors chase. Not the shine, but the story. The imperfection that turned ordinary into legendary. Now, before you rush to your piggy bank, there's something you need to understand. Most 2014 D pennies are worth exactly what they say, 1 cent. But the rare ones, the ones that change lives, have clues. Here's how to find them. First, grab a magnifying glass or use your phone's zoom lens. Focus on Lincoln's ear. If you see a faint doubling, like a soft echo carved into the copper, don't dismiss it. That's the hallmark of the 2014 D double die. Next, check the word Liberty. Look closely at the edges of the letters. Some errors show light shadowing or doubling there too. And finally, the D mint mark itself, that small letter under the date. On rare error coins, it may appear slightly misaligned or struck twice. Don't clean it. Don't polish it. Just protect it. Because if it's genuine, you're not holding a penny anymore. You're holding an artifact, a story sealed in metal worth far more than its face value. And here's the twist that almost no one talks about. That a collector in Ohio sold his verified 2014 D double die penny for over $4,000. Another went at auction for $6,200. And that was years ago, before the surge of coin collectors during the pandemic, before social media fueled a national hunt for minting errors. Today, experts estimate pristine, confirmed specimens could fetch up to $15,000, or more if new varieties are discovered. Every time one rare coin is found, its brothers become more valuable. Scarcity multiplies worth. So if only a handful remain, the next discovery could be worth 5 times that. Maybe more. Maybe that's why people search. Not just for money, but for meaning. For that flicker of luck, that whisper that maybe the universe hid something special just for them. A penny that turns into a down payment. A drawer find that wipes away debt. A 1-cent piece that buys freedom. The 2014 D. Lincoln penny isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of possibility, of persistence, of the idea that even the smallest thing can hold unimaginable value if you learn how to see it. And who knows? Maybe tonight, when you empty your pockets or open that old coffee jar, you'll find one staring back at you, quiet, copper, waiting. Waiting for the person who knows what it truly is. Right now, that 2014 D. Lincoln penny could be worth up to $15,000, and it might already be sitting in someone's pocket. Imagine this. You're holding a penny, a plain, copper coin that feels light, ordinary, forgettable. But what if I told you one of these nearly worthless coins could be worth more than your car, your house, maybe even your entire retirement fund? And the craziest part? You might already own it, and not even know. Because hidden inside millions of 2015 Lincoln pennies is a secret so subtle, so unthinkable, that even many experts missed it for years. A penny without a mint marked and a D. No P. No S. Just the face of Lincoln, quietly guarding a mystery the U.S. Mint never intended to release into the wild. Now, most people would shrug. No mint mark? So what? But the truth is far stranger. In 2015, every single cent minted in Denver carried a D. Every one from Philadelphia bore its proud P. That's just how it's done. The mint doesn't make mistakes. At least that's what they want you to believe. But then, a small handful of 2015 Lincoln cents surfaced. No mint mark. Just a blank space, where the identity of its birthplace should have been .at first. Collectors dismissed them as fakes. Machine damage, weak strikes, maybe a worn die. But then, one of them sold. Quietly. For thousands. Then another. And another. People started whispering, could this be the modern-day phantom penny? One coin dealer described it as a mistake that shouldn't exist. Another said it's like finding a ghost in your pocket change. Proof that even in our hyper-controlled, computerized age, the mint still has human hands and human errors. So what really happened in 2015? The truth may lie deep inside the production floor of the Philadelphia Mint. That year, it was supposed to be business as usual. Billions of pennies, all marked with the P. But insiders suggest a small batch of working dies, the tools that stamp coins, were never properly marked before being put into circulation. Some say they were test strikes, never meant to leave the building. Others believe a handful were pressed at the Denver Mint by mistake, where the identifying letter was accidentally left off. Whatever the cause, a few of these mint-markless coins slipped through. They look almost identical to an ordinary penny, but to the trained eye, they're not ordinary at all. And that's where the story takes a turn. Because once collectors realized what they'd found, the hunt began. Stories flooded in. A retired teacher in Ohio who spotted one in a roll from the bank. A teenager in Arizona who found one in a parking meter. A coin dealer in Florida who nearly gave one away before noticing the missing mark. Each one a reminder that even in the age of digital everything, the universe still rewards those who look closer. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. You see, the 2015 Lincoln penny marks a quiet milestone. It's part of the Modern Shield series, the redesign meant to honor Lincoln's legacy while symbolizing the strength of the Union. Yet, within this very symbol of perfection and order lies imperfection. A flaw. A whisper of chaos. That's what makes it beautiful. That's what makes it rare. Think about it. How many of these could possibly exist? Tens? Hundreds? No one knows for sure. The mint won't confirm it. And that silence only fuels the legend. Now imagine this. You're going through your coin jar, half out of boredom, half out of hope. You pull out a handful of 2015 pennies, and under your kitchen light, one looks just a little different. You tilt it.
No D.
No P. Nothing. Your heart races. Because you remember this moment, this video. And suddenly, that 1 cent could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. But don't get too excited just yet, because there's a catch. For every real mint error, there are dozens of fakes. People scratching off marks, smoothing out surfaces, even acid-washing coins to make them look blank. And one tiny mistake could cost you the chance of a lifetime. So how do you know if you found the real deal? First, look at the details. A genuine no mint mark 2015 penny should have full, sharp detail on Lincoln's face and jacket. No blurring, no loss of texture. The missing mark will look perfectly natural, as if it was never there to begin with. Next, examine the edges. The rim should be even, clean, unaltered. If you see scratch marks, tool lines, or discoloration, it's probably been tampered with. Then, the weight, a true 2015 Lincoln cent should weigh around 2.5 grams. Anything significantly different might mean it's been manipulated or damaged. And finally, if you think you've found one, don't sell it to just anyone. Have it authenticated by a trusted grading service, PCGS or NGC. Their certification can turn an interesting coin into a verified treasure. Because the difference between worth a penny and worth a fortune is proof, and proof is everything. Right now, verified no-mint-mark 2015 Lincoln pennies have sold for astonishing prices. Some reported upwards of $15,000, with speculation that ultra-high-grade specimens could reach well into six figures if more are discovered. Think about that. One coin, one oversight, 1 second of inattention at the mint could become the turning point in someone's life. So ask yourself, how many coins have passed through your hands? How many chances have you missed because you didn't look close enough? Because here's the truth. The world hides miracles in plain sight. Sometimes, wealth doesn't come from new ideas or big investments, but from noticing what others ignore. Maybe you've always felt unlucky. Maybe you've been told stories like this are just fairy tales. But every great discovery starts with disbelief. The 2015 no-mint-mark penny isn't just metal. It's a reminder that even the smallest things can change everything. That even a cent can hold a century of hope. So tonight, after this video ends, don't just walk away. Go to that jar in the kitchen, that drawer in the hallway, that old coffee can your grandfather used to fill with coins. Pour them out. Listen to the clinking sound. Feel the weight of possibility in your hands. Look closely. Because somewhere out there, someone is holding the next treasure. And they don't even know it yet. And if you're lucky, if you're patient, if you're observant, that person could be you. Right now, the 2015 Lincoln penny with no mint mark has been valued at up to $85,000. And experts believe that number could rise as collectors scramble to secure the few known examples. So check your change. Check every single coin you touch. Because sometimes, the smallest piece of copper can rewrite your future. Imagine this. You're standing in line at a gas station, fishing through your change, when a dull, copper-colored penny catches your eye. You almost ignore it. It looks like every other coin you've ever held. But what if this one, this ordinary-looking coin, was worth more than your car, more than your house? What if the 1-cent piece in your hand could secretly be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? That's not a fairy tale. It's the untold story of the 2016 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a modern mystery in American coinage that's been quietly changing lives, one discovery at a time. So, before you spend another penny, listen closely. Because once you hear what I'm about to tell you, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. It all began in 2016. A year when the U.S. Mint, almost without notice, produced one of the most enigmatic batches of Lincoln pennies in modern history. By that point, collectors thought they had the system figured out. Philadelphia coins bore the letter P. Denver, the proud D. San Francisco, the small but coveted S. But something strange happened that year. A series of Lincoln cents began appearing with no mint mark at all. Not a D, not an S, not even the expected P, just nothing. And at first, no one paid attention. After all, pennies are forgettable. They slip between couch cushions, sit in jars, and vanish into vending machines. But to the trained eye, this wasn't just another coin. It was a ghost, a silent whisper from the mint that something had gone wrong, or maybe something intentional had been hidden in plain sight. Most people don't realize that 2017 was supposed to be the first year Philadelphia added the P mint mark to its Lincoln cents, a celebration of 225 years of the U.S. Mint. But in 2016, right before that historic change, a limited number of coins slipped through the system with no mark at all. A final, silent issue from Philadelphia before the P would forever appear. Collectors didn't know it then, but those plain, unmarked 2016 pennies would become the last of their kind. And in the world of coin collecting, lasts are just as powerful as firsts. It's the same emotional pull that drives people to collect the last edition of a book, the final autograph before an artist's passing, the last heartbeat of a disappearing era. This coin, born in the shadows of transition, became a symbol of both endings and beginnings, and its value began to rise. Fast. One story still circulates in collector circles. A man in Ohio, cleaning out his father's desk, found a small jar labeled Keep. Inside, a handful of 2016 pennies. Nothing fancy, no silver, no shine. But when he brought them to a coin show, one expert stopped him cold. "This one," the expert said, "doesn't have a mint mark. You realize what that means?" The man laughed. "It means it's from Philly, right?" The expert leaned closer. "It means you might be holding a time capsule worth thousands." And that's exactly what it was. His 2016 no-mint penny, struck with exceptional clarity and preserved in mint state, was valued at over $4,000, but that's just the beginning. Because some specimens, perfect, untouched, with rare die errors or doubled features, have sold for tens of thousands, and whispers in the collector world tell of one pristine example, with flawless strike and rich luster, appraised at over $200,000. Now, you might be wondering, how can a penny with nothing on it be worth so much? That's the paradox that makes it irresistible. Every coin tells a story through its marks, but this one tells its story through absence. A missing letter that changes everything. It's a reminder that sometimes what's missing is what makes something priceless. And think about it. How many people have spent one of these coins without knowing? How many cash registers, parking meters, or convenience stores have handled a tiny piece of fortune and let it slip away? You could have walked past one yesterday. It could be sitting right now in your change bowl. Let's slow down for a second. Because if you truly want to find one, you need to know what to look for. First, the date 2016. Second, flip the coin under a bright light. If there's no D, no S, and absolutely no P under the date, you've got something special. Now look closely at the surface. Mint state coins, those with sharp, clean edges and little to no wear, are worth the most. But here's the secret most people miss. Some of these coins show subtle doubling in Lincoln's eye, or along the words "In God We Trust." That's called a double die. And if you find one of those on your 2016 no-mint penny, you could be staring at a six-figure treasure. Before you rush to spend it, protect it. Handle it by the edges only. Slip it into a coin holder, or even a plastic bag, just to prevent skin oils from damaging the surface. Then, get it appraised by a reputable coin grading company like PCGS or NGC. They're the gatekeepers of authenticity, and once your coin is certified, its value can skyrocket overnight. This story isn't just about a penny. It's about discovery, about paying attention to what everyone else overlooks. It's about the idea that in a world obsessed with digital money, something as small as a copper coin can still hold real, tangible power. Maybe that's why this story hits people so hard, because it's not just about luck. It's about awareness, about knowing that treasure still exists in the everyday, that history hides in plain sight, and that fortune favors the eyes willing to look just a little closer. Every rare coin discovery starts with a single moment of curiosity. One person who decides to pause instead of pass. And maybe tonight, that person is you. So take another look at your change. Dump out the jar. Open the old boxes, the dresser drawers, the forgotten piggy banks. Somewhere, among those billions of copper faces, might be your chance. A single coin that turns an ordinary day into the day everything changes. Because the 2016 Lincoln penny with no mint mark isn't just another coin. It's a message from the past, whispering to those willing to listen, that the next great discovery might already be in your hands. And right now, this exact penny, this silent, unmarked piece of American history, is worth up to $216,000. Imagine this. You're standing in line at a grocery store. You hand over a few coins, nothing special, a penny, maybe two. The cashier drops them into the register with a clink. And in that sound, you might have just lost over $200,000. Because hidden in plain sight, among the billions of ordinary pennies minted in 2021, there's one coin, a single misstep of metal and precision, that turned a 1-cent piece into a life-changing treasure. The 2021 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. A coin most people have touched, spent, ignored, but only a handful have truly seen. What if I told you? This coin carries a mystery so subtle, Even the US Mint tried to correct it, but never fully could? What if your loose change, sitting right now in a kitchen drawer, holds the kind of fortune that turns ordinary people into overnight legends? Let's go back to where it all began. It was 2021. A year of uncertainty, of digital currencies rising, and a world distracted by everything but the little copper coins still clinking in our pockets. In Denver, the mint's presses ran day and night, spitting out billions of Lincoln cents, each meant to be perfect. But perfection, as history always proves, is impossible. Somewhere, deep in the rhythm of the machines, something went wrong. A tiny flaw, invisible to the untrained eye, started appearing. A die error, a subtle double strike, a misalignment, maybe even a die crack that whispered its way through Lincoln's familiar profile. For most people, just another penny. For collectors, a beacon. A siren calling them toward a fortune hidden beneath a thin coat of copper. And then, the rumors began. Stories leaked into online forums. Coin roll hunters started noticing anomalies. Lincoln's jaw slightly doubled, the date faintly shadowed, or the D mint mark press just a hair off its normal position. Some claimed to have found them in pocket change. Others said the mint destroyed the flawed batches before they reached circulation. But a few, just a few, slipped through. It's the kind of story that makes you hold your breath, that makes you turn your coins under a light, wondering if that tiny imperfection could rewrite your financial future. But why is it so valuable? Because the 2021 D penny, in its rarest form, breaks all the rules. Its errors are unpredictable. Sometimes a dramatic doubling on the reverse side, sometimes a die clash leaving ghostly imprints of Lincoln's face where it shouldn't be. These aren't mass-produced defects. They're accidental works of art, born from pressure, heat, and history colliding in a single second. Collectors call them transitional errors, die variety miracles, or simply the 2021 D ghost strike. And depending on condition, they've already sold for thousands, some verified examples crossing over six figures at auction. But the real prize? That's still out there. You see, experts believe only a handful of flawless 2021 D error pennies have ever surfaced, the kind struck at the very edge of a dying die, creating that perfect blend of doubling, sheen, and strike precision. A combination so rare that it defies probability. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC treat them like crown jewels. MS 68 or higher. That's not a coin. That's a phenomenon. And right now, one of those coins, just one, has been valued at over $215,000. Think about that. A penny worth more than most houses in small towns across America. But the story isn't just about money. It's about chance, destiny, timing. Somewhere, a person just like you, maybe a retiree, a single parent, a veteran, sat at their kitchen table sorting through change. They weren't looking for riches. They were looking for hope, something different. And then they saw it. A shimmer, a misaligned shadow under the date, that subtle doubling under "In God We Trust." They sent it in for grading just in case. Weeks later, the news came back. Mint error. Verified. Value. Life-changing. Can you imagine that moment? The air leaving your lungs, the feeling that maybe, just maybe, luck finally chose you. And here's the truth that keeps collectors awake at night. There could be more of these coins hiding right now, unrecognized, inside coin jars, gas station tills, forgotten collections. The mint will never confirm how many escaped. But history tells us they always do. The 1955 double die, the 1972 error, the 1995 strike, all followed the same pattern. Dismissed at first, then revealed as treasures years later when most had already been spent. So here's the real question. What if you already touched one? What if that strange-looking penny you dismissed as damaged was your ticket to freedom? What if that 1-cent coin you dropped into a vending machine could have erased your mortgage, your debts, your doubts? And that's why every coin hunter, every dreamer, every believer in hidden fortunes needs to know exactly what to look for. Here's how you find it. Take every 2021 penny you can find, but focus on those with a tiny D below the date. That stands for Denver Mint. Now, hold it under bright white light or a jeweler's loupe. Look for doubling, especially around Lincoln's profile, his eyes, his beard, and the lettering in Liberty or In God We Trust. Any ghosting, misalignment, or doubling is your signal. On the reverse side, check the shield, If the lines blur or shift at the top, or if the e pluribus unum looks shadowed, you might be staring at something extraordinary. And condition? It matters more than anything. Handle it carefully only by the edges. Never clean it. Never polish it. Just store it in a coin flip or a capsule and get it graded. Because a coin worth $200 in average shape could be worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands, if it's near perfect. This is how the legends start. Not in auctions or vaults, but in ordinary lives with ordinary people who dared to look closer. And maybe that's why this story matters more than ever. Because hidden treasures don't just test your luck, they test your awareness. Your belief that something small, something overlooked, could still change everything. So tonight, when the house is quiet and your thoughts are heavy, take out that old jar of coins. The one you've ignored for years. Run your fingers through them. Let the sound of metal and history remind you that fortune doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it hides in copper. Because right now, somewhere in America, someone is about to discover the next 2021 D penny that will rewrite their life story. And maybe, just maybe, that someone is you. The 2021 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark, 1 cent in the palm of your hand. Worth up to $221,000 in the right light with the right strike and the right eyes to see it.